Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 5, the front end of innovation. I'm Brad Scheller, and before we dive into this week's exciting content on concept generation and lead user methodology, I want to take a few minutes to address some important course updates. We'll talk about your case study submissions, a demonstration of artificial intelligence in action, and make sure we're all aligned on where we are headed. So, let me be direct about the case study submissions. Some of your initial grades were great, and some were lower than your expectations, I'm sure. And honestly, lower than I'd hoped to give. But here's what I want you to understand. I don't care about the grades. I'm far more interested in your acquiring a skill that will prove invaluable throughout your career than I am in handing out any easy grade. And this skill, the ability to analyze a situation, cut through the noise, and present clear, actionable insights, took me years to develop. I got it from working across IBM, Johnson & Johnson, and over 30 years of management consulting. And let me share a quick story. I was doing a project at the World Bank, and the vice president I was working with was very impressed with the way I presented ideas and suggestions, and she asked me to attend a strategy meeting with all the regional vice presidents. In that meeting, I used the same case analysis approach I'm teaching you. After the meeting, several of those vice presidents came up to my client and told her, and I quote, 1 hour with Brad was worth more than 2 months with a team of McKinsey consultants. Now, what I'm getting at here, you got an initial grade, doesn't matter. If you want to resubmit based on the feedback I give you, I will accept that and change your grade immediately. But this is the thing I want. I want you to be able to have the ability to walk into a room and be perceived as the smartest person in any room that you walk into. So here's my commitment. Again, if you're willing to incorporate the feedback I provided and resubmit, I'm more than happy to regrade and give you a score that your improved work deserves. The learning matters more than the initial attempt. Now, here's something important. That detailed feedback you received? Well, you haven't seen it yet because I haven't I haven't posted the grades until you have had a chance to see if you want to resubmit. But they are detailed. Actually, I have to post them so you'll get a chance to see what the feedback is. Now that I think about that. So I didn't manually write it. I didn't even touch your papers except for the final review, the human in the loop type of thing. But all that analysis, detailed feedback, was generated by an AI-powered grading system that I built. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I'm eating my own cooking. I'm demonstrating exactly what I'm teaching you, that you can use artificial intelligence tools to serve as stage gates. And if you get the rubric correct, it's going to be more valuable than any focus groups that you utilize. The system, by the way, connects to Canvas. It extracts your submissions and the case PDF files, compares your analysis against a sample Kodak analysis paper that it creates, and it generates detailed feedback broken down by rubric criteria. Now, what used to take me 2 to 3 days to properly grade, read, review 40 submissions, now takes about 1 hour. And here's the beautiful part. The AI has no preferences, no feelings about you as a person or your beliefs, whatever. It's cold evaluation. Did you address this? Did you support that claim? Did you follow that framework? This is synthetic validation in action. The same concept we'll discuss when we talk about using AI to validate product concepts before spending money on real user testing. Now, here's the crucial lesson I want you to take away. The quality of the AI system is entirely dependent on how much effort you put into creating the rubric and the grading criteria. Garbage in, garbage out. The AI is only as good as the instructions you give it. So remember that when you build your own AI augmented workflows. Now, I also want to address schedule adjustments. You may notice from time to time some movement in timing and content. For week 4, for example, I intended to deliver 4 overview videos, but only completed 2. And here's why. I'm taking extra time to make sure those videos incorporate issues from outside the textbooks that are directly relevant to our course and where the industry is heading. And sometimes I get last-minute information, news announcements from some of the major vendors that make me change how I want to present things. I've also added this week 2 other videos. videos, specifically addressing the minimal viable product concept. And frankly, I think the traditional MVP approach is too dated to be relevant in today's AI augmented world. And I have arguments with some very smart people about this and get them to come around to my belief. But rather than just criticize it, I provided a framework for what comes next. These videos will help you think about how to change the paradigm of how organizations view what is possible. And here's my reassurance. We're absolutely on track. The first phase of our course, Building Your Understanding of the Foundations, is essentially completed. You should still read the remaining chapters for nuance, but you can take a shortcut by uploading them to Notebook LM to extract the key points very quickly. Now, every week, I will also continue posting sample analysis memos showing how the framework I'm teaching you actually works in practice. The more you see it, the more comfortable you'll get with the approach. Now, I probably shouldn't say this because it puts a gun to my head to deliver, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I'm excited about having guns to put on my head. Basically, I've been spending significant research time developing a complete tool set that you can walk away from from this course. It incorporates my latest thinking on how to transform the new product development process, and it takes advantage of the latest, as of today, latest news and announcements and products that come to market and what can be done with them. I'm probably going to have to do it again next semester and change the whole thing. But to be honest, I believe this approach is a couple of years ahead of its time. It addresses how to shift the entire NPD process into something that's not only faster, but produces higher quality data, gives companies the ability to evaluate many more opportunities simultaneously, and develops a portfolio management that's appropriate for their specific business cycle. It pulls it all together. You talk about what IBM did in terms of not selling hardware, but selling solutions. This is that approach to innovation, and something that I think is a lesson unto itself. Now, I'll be providing more information, hopefully this week, and in your upcoming team assignments, I'll give you forms that walk you through the early stages: research, background analysis, concept development, picking a solution that you want to pursue, and creating an initial product requirements document. This is practical, usable, career differentiating material, so stay tuned. Now, let's shift gears and dive into this week's content. Week 5 is about the front end of innovation, specifically lead user methodology and concept generation. And this is where your product truly begins to take shape. Your reading this week covers chapters 7 and 8, generating and selecting concepts. Chapter 7 focuses on structured creativity, how to systematically generate dozens of viable concepts rather than just going with your first idea. You learn techniques like SCAMPER, which I'll cover in a moment. And also chapter 8 is then about concept selection, specifically the Pugh Matrix, a structured decision-making tool that helps you objectively compare concepts against criteria and pick the winner. Something like what you did with the comparative analysis and the exhibits for Kodak. Now, both chapters also address product architecture. That's the strategic choice between modular and integrated designs, which have a major implication on manufacturing, upgrades, customer service, competitive strategy, etc. But here's pro tip. Upload these chapters to Notebook LM and have it generate a study guide of key frameworks. It's a great way to extract the essential points quickly. Tell Notebook LM to explain it to you as if you were a 14-year-old. It works for me. Now, this week's lecture focuses on lead user methodology, and this is a powerful concept from MIT's Eric von Hippel that changes how you think about innovation. What are lead users? Well, they're people who face there's people who face needs that are months or years away of the mainstream market. They benefit significantly from solving these needs, so they go out and create their own solutions, and they can't wait for manufacturers to catch up. Here's von Hippel's key insight. Lead users are a rich source of both innovation and need data and solution concepts. They're essentially already done your R&D for you. You just need to find them and learn from what they built. Let's see, GitHub, an open source community, is a wonderful way that developers like Anthropic and Gemini and OpenAI are coming up with concepts they put into their software. That's a great example of lead users. Think about mountain biking. It wasn't invented by bicycle manufacturers. It was invented by cyclists who modified their bikes for off-road use years before any company made a mountain bike. The same pattern appears in surgical equipment, sporting goods, software. Lead users innovate first. You'll watch a video from Eric von Hippel himself this week explaining this methodology in depth. Pay close attention because this is a powerful tool for your projects. Now, let me highlight, one of the more powerful ideation frameworks you'll encounter, which is called SCAMPER. SCAMPER is an acronym that gives you 7 different prompts to generate concepts from any starting point. So, substitute. What if you replaced a component with something else? Different material, different technology. What would that look like? And how about combining ideas? What if you merge your product with another product or feature? The iPhone combined a phone, an iPod, an internet device, and now all these applications that do all sorts of other things. What if you adapt? What if you adjusted this for a different context or user? I see that happening quite a bit. Modify. What if you change the size, shape, or attributes? The iPad came out with a mini iPod, at one point and got quite a good market share from that. How about if you put it to other uses? What new applications could this have? What about if you eliminate some features? Sometimes less is more. And finally, what if you reverse and flip something, the process or product? What if you flip it upside down or backwards? What do you get from that? Well, look at this umbrella example. Just running through Scamper generates 7 completely different concepts from one mundane project. Imagine what it could do for your team's ideas. All right. Now, this week's case study is Innovation at 3M Corporation, Harvard Business School case 699012. This is a classic case that perfectly complements our lead user methodology discussion. Now, 3M's legendary for innovations. They make over 60,000 products. But how did they maintain that culture? How did they keep innovating decade after decade? Well, in this case, you'll examine their famous 15% rule, where employees can spend 15% of their time on projects of their own choosing. You'll see bootleg innovation in action. Great. Most importantly, for our purposes, you'll see how 3M actually implements lead user methodology at an enterprise scale. The connection to this week's content is direct. 3M doesn't just theorize about lead users, they systematically find them, support them, learn from them, and commercialize their innovations. And this is what it looks like when a company takes these concepts seriously. So apply the case analysis template that we've been practicing. You don't have to write up the full analysis, but use some of the components. You now have you now have the ability to use something like Claude to run the case through to get key insights and provide those. So this is just another opportunity to practice the analysis skill and also learn how to use technology to do it faster. Now, you're going to have about 65 minutes of video content this week, and every minute's worth it, especially if you're running at 1.5 speed. But let me explain why each matters. First, Don Norman's The 5 Whys, 27 minutes. Norman literally wrote the book on design, the design of everyday things. In this video, he explains root cause analysis, how to dig beneath service symptoms to find a real problem. This is a fundamental to innovation. Second, Eric von Hippel on lead user innovation, 15 minutes. This is the MIT professor who created the methodology we're studying this week. Hearing it directly from him is invaluable. Third and fourth are videos I mentioned earlier, the MVP is dead and stealth innovation. These challenge conventional thinking about product development and show you patterns that fly under the radar. I hope someday people pick it up and put a trophy on my mantle. They won't. I'll be dead by then. But wait, there's more on this next slide. So The next two videos are about the AI tools that will accelerate everything you do in this course and beyond. First, the Blazing Zebra, great channel name for YouTube, the Notebook LM tutorial. It's about 10 minutes. This is the tool I keep recommending for processing textbook chapters and case studies. Upload your materials, and Notebook LM can generate study guides, summaries, and even quizzes you can take to solidify the content in your memory. This tutorial will show you how to use it effectively. Second, 17 ways to use Gemini 3 Pro so well it feels like cheating. That's about 13 and a half minutes. This walks through practical applications of Google's latest AI that will generally transform how you work. Now here's the connection. The AI grading system I talked about earlier, it was built using these same tools and techniques. Master them now and you'll be able to build similar systems for your own projects and careers. And this is the kind of AI augmentation we're talking about through this course. Now, your week 5 quiz covers chapters 7 and 8, concept generation and selection, plus the lead user methodology. You'll have about 20 questions and 30 minutes to complete it, and it's due February 8th. The key topics include the SCAMPER technique, lead user methodology from von Hippel, the difference between divergent and convergent thinking, how to construct a Pugh Matrix, and the distinction between modular and integral product architectures. So study tip, again, use that Notebook LM, that's why I assigned the tutorial, to quiz yourself on these concepts before taking a real quiz. It's not only a way to prepare for the quiz, which is worth, 0.7, 0.8 points for your grade, but it's just a way to help you learn how to incorporate the tool to commit it to memory. And here's your complete week 5 checklist at a glance. How about that? Read chapter 7 and 8 on concept generation and selection, plus the 3N innovation case from Harvard Business School. Participate in the discussion on it. Watch about 65 minutes of video. Don Norman's on the 5 whys, Hippel's lead users, Notebook LM tutorial, Gemini pro tips, MVP is dead, and stealth innovation videos. Your individual deliverable is the week 5 quiz, due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, plus the contributions to the discussion. For your teams, though, there is a significant milestone this week. You should be in a team now. And if you're not by Tuesday, I'm going to start assigning teams. There's already one team that's already been developed. You should be synthesizing your research into personas, finalizing your specifications, coming up with ideas, coming up with 20 concept sketches, and using the Pugh Matrix to narrow down to your top 3 concepts. This is where your product starts to take real shape. So let's wrap this up. Week 5 is probably the most creative week of our course. I remember our critical rule, quantity first, quality second. You can iterate on the quality. Generate many concepts before you start judging them. Separate divergent thinking from convergent thinking. Start sketching today. Use Scamper, find your lead users, get your team together, create at least 20 concepts. And this is where your product truly begins to take shape. So let's get creative. See you next week, maybe even on Thursday for our Zoom meeting, which I will be going over my concepts of what this application I'm talking about is going to look like, and also be available for any questions you may have. Hope you have a great week and take care.